All right, welcome back to the last lesson for Math 8, lesson 120. And so, yeah, we finally did it. We're almost done with this lesson, and that's it. Today is going to be rationalizing a denominator, which sounds kind of hard, but it's not. Rationalizing means that we make it from an irrational number to a rational number. Because can we divide by a decimal? No, we can't. And so the irrational numbers, starting with pi, pi is a decimal. So we can never really have a decimal in the denominator. We can have it in the numerator, but we can never have it in the denominator because of the simple logic that we can never divide by a decimal. We have to make it into a whole number so that then we can actually divide, right? Everybody understands that. So that's the concept behind this. And so I'm just going to straight go back into those two examples, and that's it for Math 8. At least for the lessons, not for the test. Got you there. All right, so in example 1, we have a triangle that's isosceles, and it's a right isosceles triangle. And they tell us that this side is 1 over square root of 2, and this side is 1 over square root of 2. Now, a square root of 2 is a number that is never ending, but it's a decimal. We cannot have a decimal in the denominator, as I was saying before, right? So we have to simplify it. So how do we simplify it? Well, we get the number 1 over square root of 2, and then we're going to multiply it so that this becomes a whole number. We want a whole number in the denominator. How can we make square root of 2 in the denominator be a whole number? Well, we're going to multiply that by square root of 2. Because what is square root of 2 times square root of 2? Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 2 squared, right? So when we have square root of 2 squared, it's like canceling out the square with the square root, and we get a 2 in the denominator. But to not change the fraction, we have to multiply the fraction as a whole by a 1, right? So we multiply by 1. Because what is square root of 2 over square root of 2? That's 1, right? So I'm not really changing it. It just looks that way, but it looks different, but it's the same. Right? So hopefully you understand this because I have gone over this before. And hopefully you understand this because I have gone over this before. And so 1 times square root of 2 is going to be square root of 2. So the answer would be, I'm going to put square root of 2 over 2 here and square root of 2 over 2 here. And that's it. That's literally all I have to do. Multiply by 1 so that I don't have a square root in the denominator. And the rule of thumb is you just multiply by whatever square root you have in the denominator to make it into a rational denominator or rational denominator. All right, so yeah, that's it for example 1. Let's do example 2. But before that, the last bonus. All right, so this is the last bonus of the whole class. Hooray! So, yeah, this one I have different ones, and so I'm going to say the first one. For those of you who are going to comment down below in YouTube, you can actually comment what your favorite YouTuber is, okay? What's your favorite YouTuber? Down below, the first 5 people do that, get 3 bonus points. And finally, for those of you who actually do it in the Google Classroom, you have to tell me not who your favorite YouTuber is, but what your favorite worship song is at the moment. What is your favorite worship song at the moment? So you can put that in the Google Classroom. Yeah, and that's it for bonus. Let's actually go into the last example we'll ever do for Math 8. Okay, and now the final example. We have here A, B, and C. And as I told you before, if you paid attention to the last example, what you need to do, technically speaking, is multiply by 1 so that yada, 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 all that stuff, right? Blah, blah, blah. But to be more practical and so that you guys understand that this is easier than what you think, what we need to do is multiply by the square root that's in the denominator, and that's it. So what I meant is this. I mean that you're supposed to multiply by square root of 5 over square root of 5. And then it would be, what is 3 times square root of 5? 3 times square root of 5 is 3 square root of 5 over 5. What about here? Well, we're going to multiply by square root of 3. Square root of 3. 6 times square root of 3 is 6 square root of 3. There's nothing you can do about it. I told you treat it as a variable. The square root numbers like square root of 2, square root of 3, square root of 5, square root of 7, square root of 10, and so forth. You can't do anything with them. You have to treat them as variables. So what's 6 times x? 6 times x is 6x. Well, the same thing, 6 square root of 3. And square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. And finally, over here, we're going to multiply by square root of 2. Not equal, but times square root of 2 and square root of 2. Square root of 3 times square root of 2 is going to be square root of 6. Here you can actually multiply them together because both are underneath the radical or the square root symbol. And in here, obviously, it's going to be 2. That's the answer. That's it. This is everything you needed to know from lesson, whatever it is that I started recording in, until lesson 120. So thank you for those of you who watched. For those of you who didn't watch, obviously double hurt. You didn't really learn the new stuff. I mean, you could read the book and everything, but sometimes it's actually hard to follow the book. I try to make it as easy as possible. And obviously you missed all those beautiful bonus points that you could have had. So they will probably never know. So I don't even know why I'm saying this. But those of you who actually watched, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try to do something else, but not just for this class, for all my classes, maybe a Q&A or a live stream or something like that, okay? I'm going to try to figure something out. But yes, and this obviously will happen after you're done with the final exam. So don't worry about that. What we're going to do right after you finish this is get into taking tests. You have to take a couple of tests, I think it is, because I was one test behind. So you have to take a couple of tests and then take your final. And then after the final, we'll discuss what we're going to do. All right. But that's it for right now, guys. Thank you so much.